AITAH for not expressing any sympathy for my estranged dad and his wife's pregnancy loss. When I, 19A, was 13, my mom had a high-risk pregnancy after her, and my dad tried for 10 years to have a second child. Because my mom was so high risk and not able to have sex with my dad, he cheated. He stuck his dick into a woman from his work for most of the pregnancy and was even with her when my mom's placenta detached. My grandparents were notified, and they and the hospital tried to reach Dad, but he was with the other woman. My mom and brother were dead by the time he got there. My brother lived for a few minutes and my mom died in surgery. He shacked up with his affair partner and married her 6 months later. I had to live with them for 3 years before they had enough of me treating them like shit and let me move out without a huge court battle. Before that, my dad was determined to keep me with him, and he tried to make all those excuses about him needing sex, and how his wife was a good woman, and she loved us, and blah blah fucking blah. He was a POS, basically. Once I moved out, I went no contact. I saw some of his family, but I didn't see or speak to him or his wife. Before I left, they were trying to have a kid together, and she was having trouble staying pregnant. Apparently, they had a bunch of miscarriages, and recently, she had a pregnancy where the baby didn't grow where they was supposed to, and she had another pregnancy loss. But this one was worse. I was told they were like 16 weeks or something, so I'm not actually sure how that works, but she can't have kids anymore from it. All of this is second-hand information, and I don't care enough to ask more questions. For me, I was fine not knowing about it. But anyway, a few weeks after I was told about it, my dad showed up at my uncle's house when I was visiting him. He tried to talk to me, but I ignored him, and I left pretty fast once he showed up. My grandparents were there too, and they and my dad followed me out to my car and asked me where my compassion was. He said he knew I was told about what happened and I should express some sympathy for him and his wife. My grandparents said I should express sympathy for multiple reasons, but my baby sibling died. I told them my baby brother died when I was 13 and he was my only sibling. I said they should ask where their son was when his youngest son and wife were dying and leave me alone and stop trying to make me care about a person who sucks as much as Dad does. I left before we ended up screaming at each other in front of my uncle's neighbors. My grandparents brought it back up and said I should have been more compassionate and sympathetic, and after a loss like this, I should work on mending fences because life's short and losing kids is awful. I asked them where the compassion for Mom and my brother was because they sure as shit wouldn't feel bad for the man who was screwing someone while they were dying. Before anyone asks, I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy for 3 years and found my current therapist 18 months ago after struggling to find a good fit. But I still hate my dad and that woman he calls a wife, and I would still happily see them suffer for what happened. I know people will ask me why I'm asking this here in the first place, and it's to see if I'm going too far with my hate, where I can't even feel bad that they lost so many pregnancies and can't have kids together anymore. This is why I don't like talking about him, and I don't want him in my life. But still, when I was face to face with him, maybe it was an asshole thing not to sympathize with him, IDK. AITAH,